name's Julia Blake and I run Blake Consultants, and we help businesses unlock their growth potential. This is the second video in a series of 4, and we are talking about the holy grail of systems for micro, small and medium-sized businesses, and they are Capsule, Xero and MailChimp. Hopefully you've watched video number 1, in which I give an overview of Capsule and show you how to set up a basic system. And in this video we're going to be looking at making the most of what you have in your system, with a view to sending targeted communication to a segment of your contacts and using MailChimp to do that. So we're going to be looking at the lists area, which is a fantastic area of Capsule. And the third video in this series will be looking at managing your pipeline, and the fourth video will be looking at using cases to manage your what you deliver to your clients. So before we actually go into Capsule, let's have a little bit of a think about why we might want to create lists, why we might want to get information and data off of a CRM. And it's really, really important to think about that before designing and creating a CRM, because at the end of the day, it's not much use to you if you can't get the information out of it that you need to. So we're going to take a better look at Capsule and lists. If you don't already have a Capsule account, then click on the link in the comments below to sign up. I'm very proud to be a Capsule affiliate, so please do use the link. And it's really, really key to say here and now, if you don't know who your ideal client is, or you don't have an ideal client avatar, if you can't dice and slice the data in a way that you need to, and you won't know how you need to dice and slice the data unless you know who your ideal client is. Okay, so let's have a think about how this all works behind the scenes. Again, it's really useful to do this before we dip into an actual bit of software, because we can get it gets confusing once you're in it. But if you think of a bird's eye view of the software, then it makes it easier to understand how it all links together. So we've got the 3 main areas of Capsule: the data bank, the opportunities and cases. And you can get lists off of the data bank, lists off of opportunities and lists off of cases. So typically the data bank is where we store things and where the general marketing happens. Opportunities is where we manage our pipeline and our sales. But if we want to encourage people along a particular communication path, if we want to nurture them, then we may be creating lists about opportunities and organizations or people that are in our pipeline. And then we have cases, and this is where we manage our deliverables. And actually, we might want to communicate with our clients in a particular way. We may want to update them about something. We may want to communicate with clients who have bought a particular product or service, or perhaps we've productized our service, which of course we should all try and do. But we may want to pull off a list of clients that have had a particular product or service from us. So, and then the way that we communicate and that MailChimp can really be very helpful is that we can encourage people to come into the data bank by reaching out to what I call the universe, so people that we don't know exist and they don't know we exist as yet, but our marketing strategy and part of that, our digital marketing strategy, will encourage people to come to us. So they will come in at the data bank stage, and then hopefully we'll move them through opportunities, and then hopefully they'll convert and become a client. And then the whole thing can start again, and you can think about encouraging people along your product staircase so that you maximize the lifetime value of that client to you and offer them a really great service, and they'll be exceptionally happy with you. Xero supports all of that, as we've already seen, and MailChimp supports that. And the way we use MailChimp is very much thinking about our marketing strategy. And if you want help, then we do offer help with marketing strategies as well, and content planning, because it's absolutely key. You can have different nurturing campaigns that can happen in MailChimp. Okay. So how does Capsule work with MailChimp and with Xero? Well, we've got Capsule sitting in the middle, and then we've got MailChimp, that's our email delivery system in this instance. And there are others, of course, but I do like MailChimp. And then we've got Xero that supports the finances. So between the 3 systems, we've got the foundations for micro, small and medium-sized businesses and incredibly affordable business software. So Capsule we can push lists of people through to MailChimp, all the time being GDPR compliant and respectful of data legislation and compliant with data legislation. Thinking about that, if you have B2C contacts and then need to opt in, so they can opt into MailChimp using a nice landing page on MailChimp, so they'll opt in, and then the fact that they've opted in can be fed through to Capsule using a MailChimp webhook. So it's perfect. If you are B2B and you've gone through your legitimate interests 3-part test, then you can cite the lawful reason for processing legitimate interests, and you can push lists through to MailChimp, and you are giving people the ability to unsubscribe in MailChimp. So again, it's perfect. And when they unsubscribe, and hopefully they won't, but if they did, then that information would be fed back through to Capsule. So we're seeing that that Capsule is in effect the master and MailChimp is the servant. So we can create lists of push them through from the Capsule into MailChimp, who will then become the delivery system for us. MailChimp then feeds information back into Capsule. So from a new sign up on a landing page, for example, so say you had a piece of gated collateral, a piece of gated content, so people are swapping their email address, first name, last name, etc. for that content, if it's a particular value, then you can encourage people to sign up to receive that content. And you have to be very granular and make sure that you're communicating with them only about that content as far as GDPR is concerned, but you can get them to sign up, and then those contact details will be pushed through by MailChimp into Capsule, and a contact record is created automatically for you in Capsule. Information from Xero is fed into Capsule, and so we have a nice overview of the financial picture and how much that client has purchased from you, or if it's a supplier, how much you've paid them, and we can actually click through and create invoices by clicking through in Capsule. So incredibly brilliant integration, and Capsule pushes information through to Xero, so you can set up a business or an organization or a client or whatever on Capsule, and you can export it to Xero so you don't have to set it up twice. So there's two main groups of people that any business deals with. The first, the group of people that are already known to you, so they'll already be on your CRM, and then there's the universe out there, so a group of people who don't know you exist, you don't know they exist, and we need to attract those people to us. So we're trying to get rid of the feast and famine, so we want some nice ongoing marketing occurring, so that we aren't in a position where when we're delivering, then we're not developing. So we need to be developing our business as well as delivering our products and services. And this is where this fantastic system really comes into its own, because you can be reaching out. You've got your marketing strategy in place and your content plan, and you can be reaching out to your ideal client and resonating with them in the messages that you send out. Okay, so we're talking digital marketing, social media here. So when you write your contact, you have your ideal client avatar in your mind, and you are writing to them, because when you do that, then you can cut through all the noise that's on social media, and people will start seeing your messages and picking up on what you're saying, so that when they identify that they have a pain that you can help resolve, then they will think of you. And so that's why the ideal client avatar is so very important here. We have to have the ideal client avatar in our mind when we are creating our marketing messages and when they're going out to what I call the universe. Then we are encouraging people to sign up to things or to make contact with us. We are then getting them into our pot so that we can start really communicating with them in a way and really adding value to them. So that's how it all works together. Capsule feeds MailChimp, MailChimp feeds Capsule. The people that are unknown to you at the moment will connect with your messages and be encouraged to sign up to newsletters, growth hack bulletins, gated content, and they are willing then to give you their email address and their contact details in exchange, if you like, for a useful piece of collateral that is really helping them in their business or helping them with the problem that they need to have resolved. And then that information is captured in Capsule, and you can really start nurturing them and really start adding value to them. So let's have a look and see how that actually looks in Capsule. I'm sure that you're familiar now with the dashboard, but what we're going to look at, we're going to go through to the people and organisations, because this is where we can really start to create some bespoke lists. Now, saying that, it is really, really important to have the tags and the data tags and the custom fields set up in such a way that it reflects your business model so that you can segment your data in a way that really works for you and works for your ideal clients. And what we're thinking about there is industries, where somebody sits within an organization perhaps, or geographically, there's all sorts of permutations around that. But unless we have those tags, and of course you can have more than one tag, unless we have those tags and we're using them, then we just have a whole lot of data that's actually sloshing around in the system, and that's not going to be any use. So what we can do is we can drill down and we can add all sorts of conditions here, and we can save the list so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So let's have a look at active clients. So we can apply that. We only want to be looking, and there's not much data on this demonstration because I've kept it purposely simple. So what we need to make sure is we're only looking at people. So we're looking at the people here. We may know who our ideal client is, and they may be a business. We have to communicate with the people that work in that business. So we have to think about the pain that that person is experiencing so that we can offer our solution to that pain. So we just filter out the organizations, and we're left with 2 contacts on our list. Of course, with a real life situation, we'd have far more than 2, or hopefully. So here we have, and both of these have my email address on there, so that we can sort of use it as a scenario where I'm not sharing anybody else's email addresses. So before getting to this point, we would have integrated MailChimp and Capsule. So to do that, if you haven't done that already, and I can help with that, so what we do is we click on account settings and we go over to integrations, and we scroll down and we find MailChimp. At this point, it's really good to have MailChimp open, and we click on configure. And what you do at that point is click on and get the MailChimp API code, which I've already done, and click through. And if it's not connecting, if it doesn't feel as though it's connecting properly, then go through to MailChimp. So you go to account integrations and then to Capsule and put in the name of your Capsule account. Sometimes you have to do it from both sides. You have to do the integration from Capsule side and the integration from MailChimp side. The really important thing is to click on MailChimp webhooks, as you can see here, because we need to webhook the list through to Capsule. So I've got one list in my demonstration MailChimp, master MailChimp list, and if that wasn't webhooked, then we would be able to click on that and create a webhook. Now the webhook is really, really key, because if you have a landing page that is linked to an audience in MailChimp, then we need people who are added to that list by using the landing page. We need to add them through to Capsule. We need to push them through to Capsule, and we won't be able to do that if the webhook is not activated. Okay, so we can add an individual to a MailChimp list, or we can add a group of a number of people to a MailChimp list. Okay, so we're going to go back to people and organizations. We're going to go back to our list, which will still be there. And we're going to have a think about what we want to do with that list. So we can export that list. We can move over to the arrows to the right-hand side, export it, or we can email, or we can update a MailChimp list. We can also add a tag to everybody on this list, or we could add a note to everybody on this list, which could be very useful. So what we want to do is update the MailChimp list. But before doing that, we would actually make sure that if we were using legitimate interests, then actually we would need to make sure that the emails were B2B. So what we do is we scroll down and we can see all the custom fields that we've created in our bespoke system. And we've got B2B, B2C, or unknown. So we're going to click on B2B. So in Capsule, we want to create a list of people that we want to push through to MailChimp. And we can add lots of different conditions and filters to really get a really nice segmented list. So if we go to tag, so this is the list of tags we've got in the system. So we have a number of records, contact records that are tagged as clients, active clients. We want to only contact the people. as I said earlier, is we're going to click on people and apply. We need to make sure that they are B2B contacts. So we're going to scroll down, and this is all of the custom fields that we've created already. We're going to go to B2B. And then we've got a nice list of 2. In reality, as I said, it'd be more than that, but we can push those people through to the MailChimp list. So we literally just go over to the right-hand side and update MailChimp list. And we can click on update list. And then we are pushing those contacts through. So this is the way to push contacts through to MailChimp from Capsule. And we've already seen that we can use a landing page in MailChimp to push people the other way to feed into Capsule. Okay, so we can save lists, and we can, which is fantastic, because if you have a really complex list, then you don't want to have to create it every single time. So we can save it in this dynamic, so it will update it as soon as you click on it with the most relevant and current contact details. So you can also add an individual to a list rather than as a one-off. What you do is you go to little V, manage mailing lists, and then you can add in. If an orchard has an email address, then there would be a nice little button here saying add to list. So very, very useful way of creating lists and pushing a list of people through to MailChimp. And as I said, we can do the same sort of thing in the sales pipeline. We can create lists of people. So we go to pipeline, we go to the middle icon, and then we can look at the different tags, or we can create lists on milestones, or we can look at different filters, which would be different custom filters we've set up. And we can do the same with cases as well. So we can start to create some really nice lists. Now, MailChimp's pricing is based on the number of audiences, so do think about not having too many audiences. But what we can do is use groups in MailChimp, and if there is a group name within an audience and a contact in Capsule has a tag which has that group name, then people can be added to a group in a list or an audience. They used to be called lists. So what we're looking at really having in MailChimp is being very efficient, and there would be 2 lists really. If you're B2B and B2C, then you're looking at really having 2 lists in MailChimp. The first one is B2C, and that's where people opt in. So you'd be sharing a landing page or some type of sign-up form, and people will opt in. And you capture that information on Capsule when they opt in, how they opt in. And you'd have a second list in MailChimp, which would be your B2B, and that's when you're using legitimate interests to contact those people. So you always make sure, of course, that if somebody's on your B2B list, they're not also on your opt-in list, because you don't want to be bombarding people with communication. The beauty of it all is that people have the ability to unsubscribe at any time from your MailChimp list, so you're complying nicely with GDPR at that point. So that was a whistle-stop tour of lists and how to push them through to MailChimp. In summary, create the audience in MailChimp, then go back to Capsule, dice and slice your data, really think about who you want to communicate with and create that segment of data, push that through to the created audience in MailChimp, then create your campaign, and you can then send that campaign out to the audience. MailChimp, of course, has a brilliant automations, so you can really start thinking about a nice funnel and about a nurturing journey for your contacts in MailChimp. And if that person was to sadly unsubscribe or opt out, then that would be fed through to Capsule, so you could see that that had happened. So you could then change the status of the person in Capsule, perhaps from a potential client to a previously potential client or something like that. So do think very carefully about your tags, your custom fields, think about the information you want to get off of Capsule and how you want to nurture people along their journey with you. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. I'm always happy to help. This has been a whistle-stop tour of Capsule and lists and MailChimp. There's been lots I could talk about. We're going to stop there, and the next video in this series is all about managing your pipeline. So I hope you join me for video 3, which will be coming up next. Thank you for joining me.